You should be in there.
Barricade. Walk behind it. Talk to your neighbors. Across the street. Insurrection. You don't want it to look like an insurrection.
You might win another battle. Oh, we gotta win this war. You better fucking believe it. What the fuck are you gonna do? Traumatize a bunch of traumatized people? Bitch, we've been through it. We ain't fucking scared. We ain't scared of nothing. You know what we've been through? This thing about today? You could never, ever do that here. Never. With your weak ass moral determination. And your weak ass will win. Y'all are up there, because none of you can jump over our fence, you fat fucks. I can't wait to see y'all bend over when you climb through your fucking little windows so you can snipe people. Like that young lady you sniped in the fucking head the other night while you stood up there laughing. Because you're fucking sociopath. I know exactly how to deal with sociopaths. I was raised by one, bitch. Excuse me, sir. Pedestrians have the right of way, Mr. Washington. CMUT later.
At night, I'm going to need a barricade here, right? Because my inclination is to go up here farther. I don't want to do that. And you got to use when you do
First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. Thank you for joining us. That is a live look at the ICE facility in South Portland right now. And as you can see on the screen, we have breaking news regarding a ruling from the Ninth Circuit Court. We're going to break this down for you and try to understand a little bit more about what this is. So again, this is a live look. What people's signs say, I'm just going to leave that out there for you, that there could be something that shows up on there. But we'll come back to that shot here in just a minute. I'm Greg Nibbler here with Adrian Thomas. And Adrian, thank you. For joining us here. This is news that just came out about a half hour ago or less.
By the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. They were hearing the Trump administration's appeal of a temporary restraining order that a lower federal court had issued over a couple weeks ago about National Guard deployment to Portland. So lots of news coming out.
A lot of news coming out on this. So just to explain a little bit more about this. So this ruling is in response. So this was the Trump administration wanting to deploy the National Guard to that facility, to the ICE facility we were just looking at there in South Portland. The city of Portland and the state of Oregon, if I'm correct on that?
Yes, so then they immediately sued back in late September when that order came down. And essentially what happened is the judge in the lower district court here in Oregon issued a temporary restraining order, which that would essentially preserve the status quo, block the National Guard from appealing while that lawsuit plays out. Now, the Trump administration immediately appealed that temporary restraining order to the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which is a higher court than the district court in Oregon. These are all federal courts we're talking about. And after about a week and a half of after hearing oral arguments, literally just within the last couple hours or last hour really, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals basically issued a stay of that temporary restraining order, which that's legal terminology, pretty much saying that they're tossing that temporary restraining order out and the National Guard can deploy to Portland while this legal process plays out. Just within, we're pouring through the ruling right now. And,
which is there's a lot of pages to this here. I'm gonna pull this up just so we can have that shot there of the ICE facility live while we're doing this too. Are there some key things from this?
Well, really on the second page of the order, the appellate court judges wrote that we conclude that it is likely that the president lawfully exercised his statutory authority under Title 10, which authorizes the federalization of the National Guard when the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Now, those laws of the United States and those regular forces that they're referring to would be the federal law enforcement that work in and around the ICE facility. We should note that this appeals court, most appeals cases, they are a panel of usually 3 judges. There are a few dozen judges in the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. 2 of the judges in this case were appointed by President Trump. One of those judges was appointed by President Clinton, and this was a 2-to-1 ruling. And the judge that was appointed by President Clinton wrote a dissenting opinion, pretty much, citing essentially, with arguments that the city of Portland was making, that, the protests, while they've had moments of violence flaring up, it's still being handled on the local level. But in the ruling of the 2 judges who were appointed by President Trump, they basically went in chronological order over, since June, citing all of these different incidents of violence at the ICE facility. They even talked about ICE officers being doxxed, which essentially members of the public find out who these ICE agents are and follow them to their homes. So it really, it was a, this was not a unanimous decision on this between these appeals judges. Yeah,
the doxing ruling is interesting, or just citing that, because that's not something happening at the facility. So it seems like
that's they're talking about the well-being of the officers. I mean, that was just one example.
Right.
I mean,
this is a very
they went talking about since June 2025, and they just multiple instances of talking about protesters setting the U.S. flag on fire. Like I mentioned, the Federal Protective Office, the Federal Protective Service officers and ICE officers being targets of doxing and just other vandalism happening at the property.
These are the two judges who were appointed by Trump,
Correct.
By President Trump during his first term, and then again, it's 2-1. So there was a dissenting opinion on this from the other judge.
Correct. Yes.
Now, so we have this ruling. Then essentially, so it overturns this appeal.
It overturns the temporary restraining order. Which means that the overall lawsuit that the City of Portland and the State of Oregon filed against the Trump administration over National Guard deployment will play out in the lower district court here in Oregon. But while these court proceedings happen, the Trump administration can deploy the National Guard into the city if they so choose. And we're working right now to get more information. Our producers, our other crews are on this story today working to confirm, first off, the City of Portland's reaction to this, and as well as trying to figure out if we'll know if and when we might see National Guard troops roll into the city.
Okay, and so they can be deployed. However, the other lawsuit is still playing out, which is over the legality of it to begin with, I believe. Correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the overall one, and that's starting up later this month. I'll try to get the exact date, but it's later this month. There's going to be a 3-day trial on that. But in the meantime, before that case happens, this is what this means, is that the National Guard can be deployed to Portland if the Trump administration so chooses to do so. We do have this reaction from the Oregon Attorney General, from Dan Rayfield. So I just got this right before we went on air, so I'm going to read it directly off of this as we go. This was his response. Today's ruling, if allowed to stand, would give the president unilateral power to put Oregon soldiers on our streets with almost no justification. We are on a dangerous path in America. Again, this is coming from Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield. Oregon joins Judge Graber in urging the full Ninth Circuit, apologies if I mispronounced that name, in urging the full Ninth Circuit to act swiftly and Bonk to vacate the majority's order before the illegal deployment of troops under false pretenses can occur. And like her, we ask those who are watching this case unfold to retain faith in our judicial system for just a little while longer. And then it goes on from there. I'll finish it out here. Members of the Oregon National Guard are our neighbors, family members, and friends. Their safety is important. As a community, we need to come together and help make sure they are sent home as soon as possible. That means keeping Portland peaceful and safe while our fight in the court moves forward. So that is from the Attorney General of Oregon, Dan Rayfield. That's their response that just came out right before we came on air here. And as Adrian said, we're looking to get the City of Portland's response and more too. Specifically, though, I think the City of Portland and how that's going to play out. So to recap this, just where we're at, and Adrian's going through these documents right now, so we'll see what else he is finding here in just a second.
We have a whole team of people going through these today.
Yeah.
2 of our investigative producers who are excellent pouring through these documents because, there really was a lot, in the majority order by the 2 judges, along with the dissenting opinion. There was a lot of citing what had happened in California.
Okay.
With the National Guard being deployed there. And in this case, or in that case, this same court, the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, made a similar ruling as we're seeing today, where they basically blocked the temporary restraining order of National Guard troops being deployed there, and National Guard troops were allowed to deploy into Los Angeles. When the lower court proceedings played out there, a federal judge found that the deployment was illegal.
Yeah.
But that ruling is also being appealed. But by the time all of that played out, the National Guard troops in California had already, done there, carried out their orders of protecting federal property. So this is a major development in this case today, and we could very well, have National Guard troops in Portland while the legality of their deployment plays out here in an Oregon district court.
Which is, so again, they're in California. There are those different facilities where the National Guard was deployed. So they were there. Yep, those. Sorry, it's a lot of documents. By the way, if you're watching this live, like we're bringing you this live as literally Adrian's going through the document right now. So it is a lot of information that's coming through at the same time. So in that California case, so as you mentioned, eventually ruled not legal. But it really doesn't matter at that point. At that point,
it didn't really matter because the National Guard deployments, they're technically, they're supposed to deploy for 60 days.
Yeah.
And at least, in California's case and in Oregon's case. So by the time the legal process plays out, those deployments are essentially already over. It's more about just, the overall legality of this. And
Right.
what's very interesting too is in Chicago, where there's another federal court case being played out over National Guard deployment. In that case, a judge, like in Portland, issued a temporary restraining order. However, the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that temporary restraining order.
Interesting.
And the Trump administration late last week basically asked that case to go to the Supreme Court, citing the 9th Circuit Court ruling in California. And now that the 9th Circuit Court has also ruled in favor of the administration here, if the Supreme Court were to hear the case in Chicago, which they most likely will, because with these kinds of cases, there can't be different legal precedent in other parts of the country.
Yeah, it's
that
gotta be
ultimately
one.
has to go to the highest court in the land for the Supreme Court to decide. So this ruling today gives the administration more weight in terms of where else they might deploy the National Guard.
Now, does the fact that the Trump administration lost that eventual legal case in California and there's still the one playing out here in Oregon, would that have any kind of a role in that
So,
Supreme Court ruling?
that decision in California was...
Was that just about that specific instance?
That was about that specific instance, and
Gotcha.
that decision is being appealed, but like I said, it already played out.
Yeah.
And now that the Supreme Court is getting involved with the case in Chicago, or potentially getting involved, we don't know yet if they'll officially hear the case, but the administration has
most
asked
likely.
the court. Yeah, most likely they will hear that case, and now that we have 2 appeals court rulings that rule in favor of the administration, it gives the Supreme Court lots to take in consideration. And if the Supreme Court makes a decision on National Guard deployment, that will set the ultimate precedent going forward.
And so, and as of right now, we know that the Trump administration is asking that, and that's talking about the 7th Circuit Court, so the Chicago case, to be heard, and we don't know yet when the Supreme Court, when or if technically the Supreme Court's going to be taking that up. I mean, not technically, we don't know when or if, but should they take that up, well, I guess we'll know more then. I don't want to speculate too much on how long that'll take for them to do that.
Yeah.
But right now, here for Oregon, for Portland, the big question, it seems like, is, are they going to be deployed?
Yes, correct. Yeah, and what I was about to say, let's cut back to another live look at the ICE facility. Right now, we have one of our photographers, Eric, out there right now, kind of monitoring, and it seems pretty quiet right now. Maybe only a handful of people out there peacefully protesting at the moment, but. We don't know what it might look like tomorrow. I mean, this decision essentially gives the administration, the authority to deploy troops now. And like we mentioned earlier, we have crews and teams of producers working to try and get as much information as we can right now on, how the city of Portland is going to respond, along with if and when we might see National Guard troops in the city.
Yeah, I'm going to check here if any of our producers here behind the scenes know if we've heard from the city of Portland, if you could let me know. And okay, we have not heard from the city of Portland yet. But yeah, looking at the facility right now, you can see all the boarded up sections there around the entrances, and that's what we're going to be watching here all day. And have we heard from the National Guard at all?
That's another authority that we're working to get information from them too.
Okay.
So.
And again, this is all just played out here, this ruling 45 minutes ago. So we're still going over these documents to get more information, and we'll be back here throughout the afternoon, I'm sure, with updates as we hear from different organizations, whoever it may be, whether it's City of Portland, National Guard, whoever, about what possibly these next steps are, what happens now. And we'll be bringing that to you. And Adrian, thank you, for joining us too.
Yeah, lots that we're going to continue
as
to
you can
monitor.
see, I'm just going to show, this is a lot to go
Yeah,
through. A lot of information there, a lot of rulings, and or a lot in those statements. So we'll get back to you once we have more information, and we'll be live here. Just download that Fox 12 Oregon app if you don't have that. That's a great way. We'll send out a push alert. We'll be here bringing that for you. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks, Adrian. I'm Greg Nibbler. We'll be back soon with more Fox 12 Now.
National Guard said we are deployed. And number one objective will be to protect the protesters. Because they believe in the Constitution. So, even though I do not believe you should be absolutely
That's really interesting. Thank you.
yeah.
Is there any chance that you would be willing to share the microphone either on or off there or whatever you're comfortable with? It would really help me to get your perspective out there. You want to share it with your audience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you. We can get you out.
Where do you want?
The wrong way driver over here.
Oh, the wrong way driver. I got you. You, as you should. I thought women were going to drive. Oh. I'm the sassy one. You should. No, that was crazy. I'll go ahead and put this down just here so we're not get any trouble there for overthrowing the government. Okay, where would you like?
Yeah, I got down with that. Do you want me on the center?
Yep.
Well, if you're comfortable, can I grab your first last name and spell it?
Yes, it's Ren, R-E-N, Ferguson, B-U-R-K-E-R-S-O-N.
And I just heard the news about the court ruling that the guard can be deployed now. And what are your initial thoughts?
So my initial thoughts are, first is in Oregon. And the Oregon National Guard, they already said that their number one priority for our deploy here is to be to protect the protesters because they're taking it to the Constitution. And a lot of us still believe that Constitution means something. And so, although it is not okay to call military on your civilians, I have full faith that they are actually going to be able to help us rather than the people that are poisoning us, the people that believe in MAGA and all of that. They come to our tents and try to poison us. We got ICE agents shooting us with gas marbles and trying to take us out. And then we have the Portland Police Bureau that stands 30 deep on this corner where all the crimes are happening right around the corner. So women are being assaulted, sexually assaulted and stuff. So this is a lot of people actually has some reaction.
So it's just like you're saying you'll still continue to be out here yourself? You'll still come to the back?
I will never see.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Great help.
Yes, no problem. Oh, nice, you guys.
Mark's,